on the offensive end, plus 50 on the season in terms of offensive rebounding, and you could see right there, do a nice job rebounding in transition.
That is another turnover for Seton Hall, and they are having a hard time holding on to it. Louis Orr's team has coughed it up 3 times. And inside here, Miller with the miss and Martin with the finish. Couple of threes, thus the 12-4 lead.
And Seton Hall now coming with some pressure. Neither one of these teams particularly applies a lot of pressure, nor do they turn the ball over a lot. Basically half-court teams. And Wichita State has had the advantage thus far.
And you see some of the early numbers in this game. Marcus Cousin is checked in for Seton Hall. There is a turnover by Wichita State. And that is their 3rd.
Well, Paul Miller out of the game for Wichita State. He has scored a couple of baskets here early.
And they've gone a little bit smaller. They brought in Corinne Bradley, the former Marquette player, inside to Whitney, and he was shoved, and he was fouled by Kyle Wilson of Wichita State, who picks up his first personal foul.
And this was a matchup the Wichita State people were concerned about. Whitney, big and strong on the inside, does a great job in there moving his body, and then he's really got the quickness to put the ball on the deck even in traffic and draw the foul from Wilson.
Fury checks back in, and they have taken out Pryor as Wichita State. Whitney inside, got the miss, and puts it back in, stopping an 8-0 Wichita State run.
Boy, what great balance by Whitney. Martin was laying right at his feet, and had Whitney jumped, he was going to come right down on top of him, maybe broken a leg, but Whitney doing a great job keeping his balance, putting the ball in the goal.
Cousin with the rejection on Kusnar.
We saw Wichita State with some offensive board work, but here Whitney drives the basket. Now Martin is right underneath him. It's very clever how he maneuvers his feet to stay away from Martin, avoid falling down, and put the ball in the basket.
Oh! Rejected by Lang. Lang with a terrific play.
They really like Lang's athleticism. That's one of the reasons that he's in the starting lineup for Seton Hall. He came off the bench earlier in the season, but he's one of those guys who's much more comfortable starting than coming off the bench.
He's taken the place of the injured Stan Gaines, who we expect to see later on for Seton Hall. Because of an injury, Gaines is out. Bradley into Wilson. Wilson, a transfer for Illinois.
Boy, what quick hands by Whitney.
That's out of bounds. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Coming up, some of you will be going to the Pacific Boston College game. So 7 on the shot clock, 14-0 on to play in the first half. Martin. Again Martin. Kusnar. Bradley is in there. Out of bounds. Fresh shot clock, Wichita State's ball.
Boy, I'm telling you, Wichita State had some close looks at the basket. Now they do a great job with the offensive reboundings, but for heaven's sakes, you got to make shots like that. What a great job on the offensive boards. And that's without Miller in the game, and Miller now coming back in.
And Kyle Wilson will check out for Wichita State. The Shockers are +8 in rebounding already, and here is a foul away from the ball. And inside, and they will put it on Cousin, a sophomore from Baltimore, Maryland. As you take a look at what's going to happen here in Greensboro, part of the bigger Washington, D.C. regional.
Well, in that Wichita State-Seton Hall game that you see right on your screen is part of the Missouri Valley Big East Challenge that we have here in the first round of the NCAA tournament. 3 games involving Missouri Valley teams versus Big East teams.
Miller lost it. Kusnard, and that is deflected, and some nice defense on the far side by Jamar Nutter of Seton Hall. But a foul is called on the play on Nutter.
Well, he does a great job getting his hand on the basketball. But watch here, Nutter goes up, tips the ball, now he grabs O'Geary and throws O'Geary out of the way. And the look of surprise. Now that's, is his major theater? That is really a great act over there.
Wichita State's last appearance in the NCAAs back in 1988. Their last win, 1981.
Oh, what a nice
move inside. And rejected beautifully by Brian Lang. You talked about his athleticism, seen right there.
Well, that's twice in this particular possession that he's blocked a shot.
Kelly Whitney from Chicago, all Big East second team.
That is excellent defense by Martin. Obviously, Wichita State electing not to double team.
Couisnard the rebound, and here comes Bradley. Couisnard from Houston, Texas. O'Geary for Miller. There's another Seton Hall foul inside.
That time, Wichita State got the ball inside with the pass. This time, you get the penetration from Bradley. Lang comes over, leaves his man. Bradley's got to be able to recognize that, but that's a tremendous block by Lang.
David Palmer just picked up the foul. That is the first on the Seton Hall Pirate. Miller at the line.
The Seton Hall game plan right at the moment seems to be to play Miller one-on-one. And if Miller's going to be allowed to back into the basket, to take a couple of dribbles to get himself down in the lane, that little hook shot he's got is going to be impossible to stop.
Breyer and Nick Rogers come in for Wichita State. Stan Gaines has just come in for Lang for Seton Hall.
And Miller has been very impressive earlier. We showed you the numbers, his improvement over the course of his career. Wichita State has 4 guys who average in double figures, so that 13 points a game isn't bad.
Breyer with the drive, and Martin taps it back in. Martin loves to hang around that rim. The junior from Kansas City, Kansas with the play. And a Seton Hall timeout. As Wichita State has built their biggest lead of the game so far on a 12-2 run. Kevin Harlan in Greensboro. A 12-2 Wichita State run.
It's a run that's been built on offensive board work. Seton Hall, on the other hand, having a tough time getting offensive rebounds.
Here's Palmer to Gaines. And Copeland for 3. And O'Geary comes up with it for Wichita State. Miller finds Martin inside, and Gaines picks up a Seton Hall foul.
We've talked about Miller's ability on the inside, scoring the basketball, but this is a nice job catching the ball, recognizing the man coming down through the lane. Martin got fouled very, very hard. Wichita State is a team that shoots 72% from the free throw line.
Ryan Martin is at the free throw line.
He is not one of the better free throw shooters, only 54% on the year.
But he's been very effective off the bench this season.
Well, they use Martin and Miller and Kyle Wilson as sort of a 3-man rotation in there. Martin gives him a little bit more quickness, Wilson a little bit taller.
Wichita State coming in has won 3 of 4 and 5 of 7. Seton Hall has lost 5 of their last 8 games coming into the tournament.
And Seton Hall needs to get something done offensively. Gauze here with the basketball is generally a fellow they put in for energy. Something usually happens when he comes in the game.
Gauze is a freshman from Pittsgrove, New Jersey. Whitney inside. Miller with the Wichita State rebound.
Nice pass.
Breyer, Martin. Whitney defended that well, and Gaines comes up with the steal for the Pirates.
Boy, Martin was off balance and had to get rid of it before he fell down.
Whitney inside, and Miller a little bit late for the Shockers to get in there and defend.
Well, it wasn't that a nice play. Whitney and Martin were the 2 guys down on this end, and then Whitney was the guy who just beat him down the court for the easy basket.
Some nice hustle.
When you're struggling a little bit offensively, one of the things you want to do is get some easy baskets, and the basket in transition going to be very important, I think, for Seton Hall today.
Nick Rogers with the ball. Shot clock is at 10. O'Geary from way outside. What a shot by O'Geary. He is a sophomore from Denver. We told you about his single season 3-point main record for the Shockers. And now he is 2 of 3 coming off the bench from 3-point territory.
That was from 4-point territory. My heavens.
Copeland with the slash, looking for Whitney inside with the Wichita State foul. And that goes on Nick Rogers. 12 points, the biggest Wichita State lead, with some inside play from Miller and Martin.
Pacific to call an early timeout.
No team has played any better in college basketball than BC over the last 5 weeks, Greg, and they're continuing to play at a really high level. They're tough, they're experienced, they're hungry, and they're focused, and it's showing here in this first few minutes.
Yeah, so much for jet lag, by the way, having to go across the country, and they just look like they're going to physically overwhelm Pacific. Craig Smith already for their first 6 points, and I think BC is going to win this one big time.
BC, as you said, Clark, came down the stretch strong.
They really did. I mean, that game against Duke in the ACC championship, tournament championship, was a regional final quality game in terms of the way both teams played in that one.
And that's the big question for them is outside shooting, but that's obviously not a question there. Jared Dudley can single-handedly change a game.
Meanwhile, in Jacksonville, they are in a timeout. Wisconsin-Milwaukee with a 17-12 lead over Oklahoma. Bookout's played well, hasn't gotten as much help as Coach Sampson would like.
Exactly, but again, Oklahoma in good shape here. Wisconsin-Milwaukee got off to a good start. Tucker and Davis for Wisconsin-Milwaukee carrying the load.
We'll keep track of these and all other games for you. Meanwhile, let's get you back to Greensboro, where Seton Hall is trailing Wichita State. Let's rejoin Kevin Harlan and Dan Bonner.
Corinne Bradley has just knocked down a three-point shot for Wichita State after a timeout moments ago. And the Shockers have their biggest lead this afternoon. Wilson for three. Rebound inside Kusnar. And out of bounds off of Wichita State.
Seton Hall going back to the man-to-man on that particular occasion. Made Miller throw the ball back outside. Lewis Orr just looking for some combination to get his team started here. Particularly, I'd like to see point guard Donald Copeland, the guy with the ball, get started. Copeland has yet to score, and he averages 16 points a game.
Since we were tied at 4, Wichita State is on a 19-4 run. We're at the 9.5-minute mark remaining in the first half. Lang. And Wilson with the rebound and a whistle inside. It goes on Seton Hall.
Boy, that's a great rebound by Wilson. He was being held on his left arm, and he grabbed the ball with his right arm.
Gauze was holding. Gauze picks up the foul. Wichita State has 24 wins this season. That is the most for that school since the 82-83 campaign. They have had 3 consecutive 20-win seasons. They have been at the NIT the last 3 years. Lost inside. Good defense by Whitney. Lang picked it up. Copeland trying to convert on the other end. Look at the defense by Miller, who had to watch 2 players, including Whitney, who beat him that time.
Well, I do not understand how Copeland was able to make that pass. It looked to me like he had no options, but that's what a great point guard can do for you sometime, particularly one with the experience that Copeland has.
It's Bradley and Wilson and Miller from Jefferson City, Missouri. Kusnar with a little dance on Lang, and they've got this stroke. Wichita State has knocked down 4 threes. They're shooting over 45%, and they are out rebounding Seton Hall by 8.
Well, they're doing a great job on the offensive boards, and Kusnar, that was a tough shot.
The freshman guards. Bill Meyer with the rebound. The captain put up a foul and couldn't get it. And Wilson is there to grab it. He's a junior out of Plano, Texas, and averaging 6 rebounds a game for the Shockers.
And that was a good defensive effort by Miller inside. Lots of times you see a foul on that offensive rebounding situation.
Miller against Bill Meyer. Boy, that was too easy for the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year. He has 8 points.
They have got to do something, Kevin, to put some pressure on Miller. He just has all day to stand in there, get his position, turn around, take that nice, smooth shot.
Lang and Copeland for 3. Donald Copeland.
And Mark Turgeon telling his guys, look, unless you're sure, don't go for that steal, because one of his players ran out of the play. Everybody's scrambling to recover. They left Copeland wide open. And Copeland's a guy you cannot leave open from out there, a 40% three-point shooter.
And that is a Wichita State foul.
Kusnar going to pick up the foul.
He was trying to get open and trying to swim his way out of that traffic. Couisnard picks up his second. It's been all Shocker basketball so far.
And Clark in New York. We'll get you back to Seton Hall and Wichita State in a moment. First, let's look in on Salt Lake City, where Boston College has jumped on top of Pacific and stayed there as they come up on 13 minutes to play in the first half. What?
13 when you were
13 is the word, and I just think that Boston College looks so much stronger, and I think they can really physically overwhelm Pacific. I'd wonder maybe down the stretch if their legs and having such a short return from the ACC tournament, but so far it hasn't seemed to affect that.
Well, one of the things to keep an eye on is the ability of Pacific to shoot the three-point shot. Johnny Gray and Mike Webb are excellent three-point shooters, and even though BC has jumped out to a nice, comfortable early lead, the three-point shot is always a neutralizer, and it can erase deficits quickly.
Boston College has done what every coach hopes. They've come out shooting hot, hit 6 of their first 9 shots from the field. Meanwhile, in Jacksonville, Wisconsin-Milwaukee jumped off to a big lead. Oklahoma closed, and Wisconsin-Milwaukee has now jumped out to a 10-point lead again.
Well, the Panthers have what we call spurtability. Exactly, the ability to turn you over or get quick hitting opportunities in transition. They spot up behind the three-point line. Boo Davis and Joe Tucker are matchup nightmares. There's one of the best perimeter shooters in college basketball there, Mike Neal. He can get it going.
All right, guys, we'll keep track of all those games for you. Let's get you back to Greensboro, Seton Hall, Wichita State. We rejoin Kevin Hullen and Dan Bonner.
Wichita State with it in a long-range shot. Oh, and it got wedged up there as O'Geary, who has been shooting from all over the court. And it gets stuck.
Well, this is a very tough shot by O'Geary, and how often do you see that? The ball wedges up there. And that is a possession arrow play.
Bradley is in the game along with Wendell Predum, who is a freshman out of Houston, Texas for the Shockers. They got Miller in there along with Sean O'Geary and Ryan Martin. Leading scorer with 8, Whitney for Seton Hall. A couple players with 5 for Wichita State, Couisnard and Martin. And Miller has got 8 to lead all Wichita State scorers so far. Freedom will check out. Ryers coming back in as you take a look at our game summary, and that was the 8th Seton Hall turnover moments ago.
Well, 8 turnovers and 16 offensive rebounds by Wichita State, 8 of them offensive rebounds. Seton Hall obviously not shooting the ball very well.
What a pass by Miller inside, counted for 2 with a great catch and drive by Corinne Bradley of Wichita State. As good a pass as you'll see by a big man in the tournament.
And this is very interesting as the ball is going right down inside there to Bradley, cutting from the baseline. And Bradley is a guy who's come in the game. He's known it as a shooter. So they're trying to cut him off out there on the wing. When you deny the pass on the wing, he did a nice job cutting to the basket.
"15 points has been the biggest Shocker lead this afternoon. Copeland with a nice little crossover.
And Copeland is a guy that's really got to make some things happen. He not only is the leading scorer, but he's the point guard, and his job is to get the ball to people in positions where they can score. And Seton Hall struggling to score right now.
Bradley with the miss, rebounded inside by Kelly Whitney. His 6th rebound of the game so far for the Pirates. Copeland will take it, and a little hand check is thrown on him by Sean O'Geary of Wichita State, picking up the foul. And O'Geary tagged with his first.
Well, Copeland, a pretty high basketball IQ, understands that he's got to make something happen. That was the last possession where he drove the ball through the double team and was able to score. That time he drew the foul on the penetration. So look for Copeland to do a little bit more dribble penetration to the basket.
Copeland's dad was a coach. That's the IQ you're talking about. Here inside they got Whitney. Senior from Chicago, picked up by Martin. Now Breyer.
Breyer is a guy that just seems to always be playing under control, Kevin. I think that's one of the reasons why this Wichita State offense has been so effective early.
O'Geary knocks in another. He averaged 17 points in the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament. He's knocked down 3 of 5 above the arc this afternoon already.
Well, they're doing a great job moving players and moving the ball, and there Copeland gets another foul on the penetration. But Bradley with the basketball, you can see O'Geary at the top of your screen. They're coming off that screen underneath the basket. Just nice job moving the ball.
As you mentioned before, a 44% three-point shooter. Martin will check out, and Kyle Wilson comes back in for the Shockers. And Palmer is taking the place of Whitney in there for Seton Hall. Gauze has come back in as well. And Jamar Nutter, Dwayne Palmer. There's Bill Meyer with the ball. And Copeland for three. He has been about as steady a player as you've seen so far. He's got 8. And Copeland has scored the last 8 points for the Pirates.
Well, we were talking about Copeland needing to do something and knocking down 2 threes and that little runner in the lane. Now the Pirates have to get some defensive stops. Things have been much too easy on the offensive end for Wichita State.
O'Geary another 3. Good! He's knocked down 4 in the first half. And Wichita State equals their biggest lead so far of 15.
Boy, the Shockers doing a great job finding the open players.
And Copeland trying to find some open room in the lane.
He's trying to find a foul right there.
With great swagger and confidence Wichita State has played with so far in this game against the Big East Seton Hall Pirates. Trying to spin inside is Miller. Bill Meyer picks up a Pirate foul. Wichita State has knocked down 6 three-point shots. Connor, let's take a look at Powerades, power in the paint.
And Kevin, you don't always have to start in the paint to get the power in the paint. In this particular play, Bradley is going to cut from the wing to the baseline. A nice job by Miller finding him inside, and he scores the basket. That's the guard cutting down in there, showing you a very powerful move.
Dan mentioned this before, but the bench has been utilized by Wichita State coach Mark Turgeon a lot, outscoring the Seton Hall bench 10-0. And Miller hitting the free throw, the 18th all-time leading Shocker score, 14th all-time in block shots.
You can see O'Geary and Miller outscoring Seton Hall so far, and Miller missed that free throw, but my goodness, what a nice touch he has on the basketball.
And they've got their biggest lead of 16 with 3.5 to play in the half. Here's Nutter for 3.
And Nutter is the guy whose scoring is going to be very important to any Seton Hall comeback. Nutter, a very effective shooter from the outside, has deep three-point range.
Freshman Freedom. He'll dive inside the lane. That's out of bounds. Shot clock at 22 with 3:04 to play in the first half. Coming up in the singular at the half, Greg, Clark, and Seth will take a look at the live action around the NCAA tournament. A lot of tournament news to get you updated on as well, plus the singular Naismith update. All next on the singular at the half from New York. Bryant, Wilson.
Wichita State continues to have a lot of player movement on the offensive end, and that's really difficult to guard.
Miller gets the feed from O'Geary.
Right, it's just a very simple play, a screen, and then Miller cuts to the basket. Both of the defenders step toward O'Geary because he's established the fact that if you give him that 3, he's going to make it. But what a nice catch by Miller.
Seton Hall in the NCAA tournament for the second time in 3 years. Wichita State has not been in the tournament since 1988. Palmer puts up a heavily contested shot inside.
And Kevin, I think that's been the key to the first half this year. Much more heavily contested on that end than this end.
Wendell Freedom, a 6'1" freshman from Houston. Everybody is getting in the act for Wichita State on an 8-0 run and with their biggest lead today.
Of the lane right here, because what's going to happen is everybody's going to leave it, and that's going to allow this give and go, screen and roll, if you will, right there. The defense simply non-existent. When you're playing away from the ball, you've got to get into the lane to help out. Seton Hall, very poor defensive work right there, and another easy basket for Wichita State.
Gauze, Whitney, and Nutter, and Copeland. Freedom on him. Nutter for 2. And gets his own missed and glides down the baseline.
O'Geary didn't do a nice job blocking him out. You've got to block out the shooter. But for Seton Hall, the offense looks a little bit disjointed because there's an awful lot of dribbling going on. You contrast that with the Wichita State offense, where very little dribbling, an awful lot of passing. And the passing is what has gotten guys open for the Shockers.
Yeah, a lot of guys have scored the ball. Wichita State was rated no higher than 28th in the AP poll this season. This outside by O'Geary and picked up by Paul Gars. Brings a lot of energy. He is the 6th man on this team. Here's a Wichita State foul.
That was a nice little two-man game by Seton Hall there. Gauze and Whitney working together against Miller and Breyer trying to drop down inside to help out and then come back out and pick up Gauze. Gauze used his quickness to draw the foul, and that's a couple now on Breyer, isn't it?
Breyer
2 fouls
picks up
on
his
Breyer.
second. So Gauze will be at the free throw line for Seton Hall. A look at Mark Turgeon. We told you as we tipped off our game, the Missouri Valley Conference Coach of the Year. He was a player for Larry Brown at Kansas, and then coached there, that '88 championship team for the Jayhawks, and then continued when Roy Williams took over Kansas as an assistant coach.
Now that's quite a coaching background, and Mark Turgeon very happy to see that. You can see there's his resume, if you will. Be very happy to see the lane violation by Seton Hall, so they do not get the free throws.
Good pickup by Copeland. Gauze inside and beautifully fed to James Nutter. And when Nutter scores, there is a ripple effect in the entire offense.
There sure is. And important buckets for Seton Hall. They're trying to cut into this lead.
Seton Hall ball club.
Well, certainly in the first half, the Missouri Valley Conference representative Wichita State has played very, very well. But the Missouri Valley Conference is a great league, a great history, great tradition.
They had 6 teams in the top 40 NCAA power rankings. So they had certainly cast their shadow long and hard over the landscape of college basketball this season. Miller double teamed and in a straitjacket, couldn't get it out. Kuzan comes up with the Seton Hall rebound.
It's the first time this afternoon we've seen Miller force anything.
Gauze, contract, and inside he goes with Whitney.
Boy, Seton Hall just has not been able to get that inside shot to go. Whitney in particular struggling there. Now only 3 of 10 shooting. In his defense, they haven't been open shots. Wichita State doing a very nice job contesting everything Seton Hall's trying to do. Lang is back in the game, and Nutter's going out.
Wichita State is +6 in rebounding so far in the game. Gary's been terrific. Final seconds of the first half. Gauze on O'Geary, and a great steal by the freshman Gauze, trying to beat the buzzer, and cannot, which takes us to halftime. 40-24. The 7th seed Shockers, Greg Gumbel, on top of the Big East Pirates of Seton Hall.
All right, Kevin, thank you. Meanwhile, in Jacksonville, coming up on 2.5 minutes to play in the first half there, Oklahoma trailing Wisconsin-Milwaukee by 4. Tim Brando, Mike Jaminski, Stephen Bardo are there.
2 and change remaining here in the opening half. Wisconsin-Milwaukee has led by as many as 10 in the game, 24-14. It's been a game of runs, a 9-2 run followed by a 9-0 run. The answer is coming from Milwaukee, mostly because of the outstanding play inside of Kevin Bookout, who is sitting down right now after re-aggravating his wrist injury from way back in January.
But Tim, I think Oklahoma's done a nice job at the steal right there of grabbing a hold of the tempo of this game in the second 10 minutes here.
Everett, the alley-oop, Longar gets Longar and puts it in. It's 29-27.
Boy, Terrell Everett is showing us what he is made of in this first half. We've seen an assortment of runners and lob passes to his bigs for easy buckets.
And Neal with the defensive pressure forces the timeout from Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Bookout looking to check back into the game. As we mentioned, he aggravated that injury a moment ago. How about a little plastic man extension from the man called Longar? We'll be right back.
Baskets like that, it's found money. He's only averaging 2 points a game, but for him to get out in the open floor and score for you is a big boost.
Boo Davis induces the foul from Michael Neal, junior from Mesquite, Texas, and Lon Morris Junior College. That's his first foul of the afternoon. A fairly foul-free game for the most part, given the level of intensity that both teams have had defensively.
And the pace, when it's starting quickly or whether Oklahoma is able to slow it down a little bit. As you mentioned, not a lot of fouls, but going back to Boo Davis's last attempt that time, he seems like he's a little impatient. Shooting 2 of 5 from the field, but he's got to be a little bit more patient within their offense.
He's a young man that Rob Jeter believes has come farther both on and off the court in the time he spent at Wisconsin-Milwaukee than anyone else. 31-27. Wisconsin-Milwaukee out of the Horizon League, won that tournament championship, making the adjustment with a new coach after Bruce Pearl vacated the premises for a lot of green in the land of orange at Tennessee.
Ryan, I think if you're Rob Jeter, you've worked so hard, you've had the lead the whole half. You want to try to finish this half strongly and keep that.
Well, there's that pass off a missed shot you were talking about, Mike, is Taj Gray way too strong, but it's cleaned up by Nate Carter.
Give him an assist.
31-29.
And the Panthers have not reacted well to the zone that Oklahoma. That's the thing I think that's really kind of calmed them down in the half court.
And you notice Milwaukee does not pass the ball around the perimeter quickly nor crisply enough to get open look.
Tiger, look at Smith keeping it alive, and a wonderful play as he throws it off Bookout's shin, so Wisconsin-Milwaukee will keep possession.
Everett down on the floor, Tim, with an injury on the baseline. Looked like he got hit in the face.
Yeah, he is in some pain down there. A lot of contact in those loose ball situations.
This is the NCAA tournament, and we've had a couple people go down. Bookout going down already, and this is on the weak side, and it looks like his own teammate did him in on that play.
Nate Carter.
Yeah, just kind of coming in, trying to be aggressive, knocked the ball out of bounds, and on the follow-through, caught Everett right in the face.
Austin Johnson will come in for him, the freshman out of Amarillo, Texas. I mean, this is one guy that they really cannot afford to lose. How many times do we say that about NCAA tournament teams? And usually it's the guy playing point guard that teams cannot afford to lose.
And the point guards navigate the way through the NCAA tournament.
Another rejection by Gray. He's had 2 of them today. Make that 3. So very active.
Tim, if I'm Rob Jeter right now, I have my guys go all out pressure with Everett on the bench.
McCoy, that shot was affected by Gray's presence, and the tip-in goes to Adrian Tiger. He has 6.
Austin Johnson much more shaky with the basketball certainly than Everett, so you want to try to get into him and make him, freshen, make him handle the ball with the bright lights on.
Neal runs the curl. Oh, the iron unkind, pulled down by Gray.
Well, they read the scouting report that time. Neal had an open look before, but Boo Davis closed as the release came. Good job of Milwaukee in the half-court defense.
Gray, that's a nice move, and Bookout set it up with the low pick.
Set play that time.
That's the end of the first half. Our score 33-31. Wisconsin-Milwaukee. We'll send you to Greg and Singular at the half after these messages. You're watching CBS Sports on our 25th road to the Final Four.
And a 4 seed, and certainly getting the long trip from Boston here to Salt Lake City. 2,000 miles on the quick turnaround after the ACC tournament final. They get home on a Sunday, then Monday, a 9-hour trip out to Salt Lake City. Some plane trouble.
Going to be a timeout along the sideline.
It will.
Get the ball, and Al Skinner just to top it off, too. Also mentioned, Diane, yesterday we were speaking to him that he wasn't sure how much credit the ACC got as a league with the selection committee.
No bid for Florida State, no bid for Maryland. Skinner felt both deserved. Winner of the Nevada-Montana game coming up here at the Huntsman Center.
Be interesting to see how this last 3.5 goes to the Pacific, because the first 4 minutes of this game, they were really non-existent in terms of being comfortable on the floor. BC established an early inside game. Pacific, though, for the next 12 minutes, won that portion of the game.
Check out pump fake from Webb. Yeah, BC looked unstoppable through the first 4.5 minutes of this first half.
And you notice even with the passing and the cuts, nice little lob to Morica.
Oh, perfectly done. Esparza on the floating pass to Morica for the finish.
In sports, it's a funny thing. When a team loses their confidence for a short period of time, it's almost like they're entirely deflated. You can just sense now that the air has been pumped back in, the energy air, and this team just looks much more comfortable right now.
Boston College, one field goal over the last 6 minutes, as that one didn't go down for McLean. Johnson, a three.
Even the shots that they're missing, they're confident, they're pulling up, they just look like, hey, that ball's supposed to go down, and that's the way you're supposed to shoot the ball, with confidence.
13th seeded Pacific leading number 4 BC 30-28 as we approach 2 minutes to go in this first half. Here's McLean. Trying to ride their senior, Craig Smith.
It's a little tighter inside with Pacific laid back.
And a foul call. It was Brown on the strong side.
And Morica doing a good job of pushing Smith up to get his body going towards the basket. And Morica just the guy who puts up 6.
So Pacific has come all the way back to take a 2-point lead as we approach 2 minutes to play in Salt Lake City. We thank you for joining us on Singular at the half. We'll send you back to Greensboro for the second half of Seton Hall, Wichita State after this.
Interesting thing to point out, Kevin, the big three for Seton Hall scoring-wise, Copeland, Whitney, and Nutter. On the season, they score 63% of Seton Hall's points. Today, they have 22 of the 24. So the big three are doing all right for Seton Hall, but the other guys have to help put some points on the board.
And if you want to look ahead even more, Wichita State has had a history this year of sitting on leads as Wilson launches and nails a three. That is the 7th three-point hit for Wichita State. And Seton Hall, Dan, has had a little bit of a feel of coming back in games this season.
Well, early in January, they played a game against St. John's where they were down by 17 at halftime, but rallied to tie the game in regulation and to win it in overtime.
Lang with the move. Kusnard is defending. Billmeyer cleans it up.
And that's something that you didn't see from Seton Hall in the first half. They got some offensive rebounds, but they were not able to convert. And that is the first basket of the game by Billmeyer. He doesn't score a lot, but he's got to get a few to keep the heat off the big three.
Kusnard, nice dish inside, caught by Miller with the assist to Kusnard.
When Miller has shown us some really nice hands. For the most part, this has been a pass game by Wichita State, but here you get some dribble penetration and the nice dump off.
Miller's got a game-high 13.
And Copeland really attacked the basket, and the foul was called in there as Kusnard tried to draw the charge, and he really took a hit, but it was ruled a block.
Wichita State was the regular season champion in the Missouri Valley Conference. I don't know if there's been any more profound topic in terms of analysts like you talking about how many of these mid-major teams should get in.
Well, I don't know, Kevin, that you can use the word profound with me in the same sentence.
But I was trying to help you out a little bit.
Copeland makes the free throw, but there has been a great deal of discussion specifically about the Missouri Valley Conference and how strong really was that conference. Well, in the first half today, the conference regular season champion, I think, made a clear statement that they're a pretty good team.
Kusnard just picked up his 3rd foul. Aaron Brandler will come back in the game for Wichita State.
That makes Wichita State very small in the backcourt.
Almost 3 guards in there for the Shockers. There is a foul on Seton Hall. Billmeyer picks up his 3rd.
Billmeyer doing everything he can to try to push Miller away from the basket, but Billmeyer has to do that before Miller catches the ball. Once the big guy catches the ball down there, the referees are looking right at him.
Wichita State with the ball. We're just inside the second half. Feet inside. O'Geary hits Miller, and Miller with a game-high 15.
Well, this is a game, Kevin, that has seen Wichita State just dominate the inside. Miller has played very well, but offensive rebounding a big factor. And Whitney only 3 of 10 shooting, mostly inside shots in the first half, gets that one to go. Seton Hall, on the other hand, has gotten some offensive rebounds, but they haven't been able to convert.
Whitney's got 10 points so far for Seton Hall. Here comes Copeland. They've got a 3-on-2. And Copeland decides to set up the offense. And pickpocketed by O'Geary. Bradley tried to get it inside. Nutter kicks it away. Shot clock at 30.
We've talked about Wichita State and their ability to dominate inside. This time O'Geary just finds Miller on the inside. Bill Meyer turned his head, and boy, you can't turn your head and lose that guy. Miller, the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year, has shown us really nice hands and the ability to shoot the ball.
Wichita State has not been in the NCAA tournament since 1988. Seton Hall has been in 2 of the last 3 years. Wilson, the Illinois transfer, missing a 3.
We mentioned in the first half, and boy, that's a bad pass. We mentioned in the first half the ability to shoot the ball for Wichita State.
And Bradley goes in, and Kuzan is the one who tried to knock the ball away and was successful doing that. And Wichita State, a team which went 24-8, and in the Missouri Valley Conference 14-4, will inbound the ball. Wichita State, one of 4 Valley teams that got in the tournament. Pryor to Miller. Son was defending, so they go back outside. Another 3. Pryor knocks that down, and now 8 3-point hits for the Shockers in this game.
Boy, what a nice inside-outside moving the ball concept that we saw from Wichita State, and we've basically seen that throughout the game. The Shockers really are playing well.
Lang inside to Whitney, a second-team All-Big East selection with a good corkscrew move inside on Miller.
And that's a good move. You're right about that, Kevin, but the ball isn't moving. It goes inside to Whitney, and that's been the problem for Seton Hall on offense. Not very much ball movement. Usually the first guy that gets the pass is shooting.
There's been great efficiency on the part of Wichita State. 15 assists on 19 made baskets. And some of those made baskets have come above the arc.
Well, and we mentioned they have 6 guys who have made 10-plus 3-point baskets, and we've seen that kind of versatility. O'Geary has made 4 3-pointers all by himself, but Wichita State really doing a nice job moving the ball inside. They established Miller inside and then pitching the ball outside for the 3. The 3-point number is very telling thus far in this game.
Gause and Gaines will come in for Seton Hall. Ryan Martin will come in for Wichita State. He's got the ball right now. Bradley to Miller. Dusan defending. And here comes Copeland. He too was a second-team All-Big East selection. Gaines wearing that mask because of a horrible injury he had earlier in the season. That's out of bounds, and it will be Seton Hall's ball. Gaines was involved in a game in January against Villanova, and going for a loose ball, he was elbowed in the face and had 17 separate fractures in his face, not including his nose.
And he had surgery and missed 7 games. And can you imagine 17 fractures and only missing 7 games? This is one tough guy.
About a month is all he missed. Nutter for 3, and he's been the best 3-point shooter today for Seton Hall. That is their 3rd.
And Nutter is a guy who is a very, very streaky shooter. So if you're Wichita State, you've got to be concerned now. Sometimes when he gets that first one to go, they start raining down. And that's exactly what Seton Hall needs to get back into this game.
Open on Pryor. Here comes Bradley, the Marquette transfer. Pryor inside to Miller. Shot clock is down to 7. The double team and some great defense by Gause. They keep it alive. And Bradley. And picked up by Copeland.
Good defensive stop that time by Seton Hall.
A 3 by Copeland. And a rebound by O'Geary, as Martin and Gaines were tangling underneath the basket at the other end of the floor. And Pryor. Seton Hall is as close now as they've been in a while. They've trailed by as many as 20. A frustrated senior in Kelly Whitney, and the Pirates are down. Has led the entire game except for a couple of early times. Their lead has grown as high as 20. Here's a team, Dan, that was picked to finish 5th in the preseason polls. They had just one returning starter in Paul Miller. And look what they do. They finished 14-4, win the regular season conference trophy, and they're having a great showing in this very first game of the tournament.
Kevin, an awful lot of great stories like that in this NCAA tournament. This Seton Hall team was picked to finish 15th in the 16-team Big East, and yet they're here as well. And there's Nutter. We just told you when he starts it going, he can really get hot quickly. That's now 2 consecutive threes, and Seton Hall has chopped this lead back to 14.
3 players in double figures for Seton Hall. 2 players in double figures for Wichita State. This is Wilson with the move on Gaines, who defended him well, and it's saved and won by the Pirates. And here comes Seton Hall with the freshman Gauze giving to the senior Copeland. Nutter, another 3. That would have been big. Wilson with the rebound.
When he shot that one in rhythm, too.
He did.
But I'll tell you, that was a deep one.
We've seen a couple deep ones today.
Absolutely. Don't get any extra credit for the longer you shoot it.
Fire for 3. 8 of 14 3-point shooting for Wichita State. Nutter at the other end. Fouled hard on the play by Breyer.
Well, one of the things that we're seeing in this half is that Wichita State not able to do quite the job on the offensive board. Nutter with the run out here, and I think Breyer's fortunate that he didn't get an intentional foul called on him, although that is his 3rd personal foul.
So Seton Hall at the line. They've had some comebacks. We talked about it before, and Dan mentioned they trailed by 20 points to St. John's with 9 minutes left. They won that game in overtime. They trailed South Florida by 12 points with 4 minutes left. They won that game in overtime, and now they're as close as they have been as Breyer checks out, and O'Geary will come in for the Shockers.
You know, it was a tough first half for Seton Hall, but not nearly as tough as that St. John's game. Paul Gauze, who's in the game right now, in the St. John's game, actually made a layup for St. John's in the St. John's basket because he forgot which way he was going. That certainly didn't happen in this game.
Seton Hall is on a 9-2 run right now. Seton Hall, a school founded by the first bishop of Newark and was named after his aunt, Elizabeth Ann Seton, who is the first American-born saint.
And the Pirates certainly hoping for some saintly intervention here in the second half, and they've started a little bit of a comeback.
Amen. Who's not? Martin. And Gaines picks up the foul. As Martin tried to maneuver across the lane near the end of today's game, we'll select a Chevy player of the game from each team. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. America's brand supports America's best. Chevy, an American revolution. So at the line is Martin.
He's now 2 of 3 shooting free throws. You know, we haven't really had very many free throws in this game, Kevin.
Quiet so far. Wichita State with their 10th and 11th attempts right there. Seton Hall has taken just 6 attempts from the free throw line.
Wichita State continues in the man-to-man.
Oh, what a pass by Copeland inside to Nutter.
When Nutter made those couple of threes, everybody's worried about him cutting outside beyond the three-point arc, and he just recognized the defense was playing to go one way, and he went the other.
This has been typical of Wichita State this season. They've had big leads. They've sat on them, and the teams have been let back in. Nutter has the last 9 points for Seton Hall out of the Big East. They've come back, trailing by as many as 20. Now down 53-41 with plenty of time left.
Nothing is more powerful than the truth, and the truth is more Americans choose Chevy than any other brand.
See why during the Chevy NCAA March Madness event. Check out Chevy Cobalt LS with an EPA estimated 34 highway miles per gallon. Get a 2006 Cobalt LS Coupe with an MSRP starting at $12,990. Or get it for less during the Chevy NCAA March Madness event. See your local Chevy dealer.
Introducing the rebirth of cool. Gatorade Rain. Start crisp. Finish clean. Stay cool in the heat. Gatorade Rain.
Showtime, baby! Are you kidding? Oh, give me 3. Oh, can't handle me. Oh, I got fouled, man.
I'd do anything for delivery pizza, baby.
Oh, hey, Factor, baby! Oh, you need some help. Hey, that's my delivery pizza!
It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
For fresh baked pizza at home, it's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
A little help, baby.
Only 1 in 4 people are very confident they have saved enough for retirement. Who can help you feel more confident about your future? The Hartford. Prepare to live your future the way you've always seen it. See your advisor about the latest products and solutions from The Hartford, because you're not preparing to retire, you're preparing to live. The Hartford. Prepare to live.
What kind of kiss would you like? How about a free kiss from Earthlink? Get a free Kiss spyware scan to help kiss spyware goodbye. Visit earthlink.net for a free spyware scan today.
Little help, baby! Little help! Hey, that's my delivery pizza!
For fresh baked pizza at home, it's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
With NCAA March Madness on demand, you can watch live tournament games on your computer outside of reviewing area for free. Sign up now at ncaasports.com/MMOD with Dan Bonner, Kevin Harlan. Out of bounds it goes. Ending the first half, Wichita State scoreless the last 2:17. Early in the second half, they have not hit from the field in almost 4 minutes as Seton Hall, Dan, is on an 11-3 run.
Seton Hall has done a better job pressuring Wichita State defensively, and Seton Hall has gotten some easier baskets on the offensive end. There's no trick to this formula. The team generally that gets the easier shots wins the game.
Boy, Gauze came down on his face, and Martin colliding with Gauze in mid-flight, which will send Martin to the line. I mean, you could feel it, and even more importantly, you could hear it inside. Seton Hall has shot 67% from the field in this half. And here is Ryan Martin out of Kansas City, Kansas, and a junior college transfer from Coffeyville Community College, the line. He's part of a bench that sports no player taller than 6'5.5" for Wichita State.
And it's part of a bench that has played very frequently and very well this afternoon.
Bench points, Wichita State 15-0. Miller comes back in. Wilson will take a breather. I should say for the Shockers that play considerable minutes, more than 3 minutes a game. They just don't have a lot of size off their bench with creditable minutes for this Shocker team. Boy, have they played well today, trying to hold on to a lead they've had virtually the entire game. There's an offensive foul.
Well, that's Gauze, and we talked about Gauze before. This is a guy that makes things happen for Louis Orr and Seton Hall. They're not always good things, but when he's in there, generally something is going on. Seton Hall with pretty good ball movement, and then back into that habit of attacking off the dribble. Gauze just got himself caught up in the air. That's one of those plays where you stay on the ground, you make a jump stop, you pass the ball.
Nick Rogers has come in for Wichita State, taking Kuznar's place. Full court pressure by Seton Hall. Bradley to Martin. And Bradley for 2. Miller with the offensive rebound. And a 3. Rogers couldn't hit it.
That was an unselfish play by Miller, but not a good one. And you'd much rather have Miller shooting that inside shot than throwing it out to Nick Rogers, a walk-on, shooting it from 3.
Good point. Copeland for 3 at the other end, and he knocks down another.
Now, if you're Seton Hall, that's the guy you want taking your threes, and suddenly this is an 11-point game. An excellent comeback by Seton Hall.
Copeland's got 13. He's got 3 threes. And there's a quick foul. That goes on Copeland for the first time.
And Seton Hall has done a nice job cutting into a lead that was once 20 points. Whitney maneuvering on the inside. Then Nutter has gotten hot. He scored 9 consecutive points in the second half. There's 5 of them right there. And Copeland just hit that 3, so Seton Hall getting better opportunities on the offensive end. Wichita State not quite as efficient on their offensive end.
These two teams came in on different rides. Wichita State has won 3 of 4 and 5 of their last 7. Seton Hall had lost 5 of their last 8, but some of those losses include some pretty good teams like UConn, and they lost, of course, in the Big East quarterfinals to Rutgers. Wichita State lost to Bradley in the Missouri Valley Conference tournament semifinals. The 7th seed Shockers, the 10th seed Pirates. Bradley again.
And Wichita State has missed some opportunities from the free throw line, Kevin. We've talked about the fact that they haven't shot a lot of free throws, but this is a team that shoots over 70% from the line, and they haven't been anywhere close to that today.
Rogers with the defense. There's a shove, and Miller picks up a foul, trying to control Kelly Whitney inside. The Pirates are getting closer to the Shockers.
A lot easier when the ball goes in the basket, and for Seton Hall, it's been going in the basket here in the second half.
Here's Copeland with the Whitney screen and a 3. Picked up by Freedom inside. Freedom is the freshman, Copeland is a senior. Miller, Kusnard back in the game. Nutter is defending. Gaines is inside on Martin with a hold and a foul.
Martin is the guy inside for Wichita State who has been doing a great job getting to the line. You talked about the fact that he was their one, if you could call him big, he's their biggest sub coming in on the inside, and he has played very well today.
Last 6 points for the Shockers, Dan, have come at the free throw line. Wichita State will shoot free throws the rest of the way. And every Seton Hall foul. Geary comes back in. Breyer comes back in. Bradley will sit. Freedom will sit. Gaines will leave, and here comes Gaines back in for Seton Hall. Seton Hall, an interesting team. The only Big East team with 3 top 20 conference scores. Whitney, Copeland, and Nutter.
Well, interestingly enough, Whitney, Copeland, and Nutter have scored 40 of Seton Hall's 44 points today. Only Lang with a basket and Billmeyer with a basket have scored other than those guys.
Bars with the miss. Breyer is there to collect the loose ball. O'Geary at the other end. He's been a 3-point marksman this afternoon. Breyer getting it inside to Martin against Lang. And Kusnard is there uncovered on the weak side.
And that's what we saw a lot of in the first half. Wichita State able to get to the offensive boards. That penetration with the pass, forcing the defense to collapse. Nobody available to block out.
Nutter picked up by Kusnard. Miller with a little trap. And Nutter inside. Martin grabs the ball.
That's a force that time, and Seton Hall needs good shot opportunities.
Kusnard for 3. Wichita State on top by 14. 10:33 to play in the second half.
And Seton Hall got it down to 11, and now Wichita State in a position where they can stretch the lead back out once again. But you know, when you get down by 20 points, Kevin, you have to expend so much energy to get back and get back in the game that sometimes it's tough to close the deal.
And if you're a team with the lead, you got to keep your focus and your passion.
Absolutely. One of the problems for Wichita State in the second half, I think Breyer picked up his 3rd personal foul, and he had to sit down, and he's so important to the proper functioning of this offense. He's just such a smart player, does a really good job getting the ball where it needs to go to the person who needs to have it.
Like Wilson here for 3. And Miller trying to keep it alive, and Dars comes up with it and stuck in a foul. O'Geary.
Well, that is only the 4th team foul of the half against Wichita State, so the Shockers at that point can afford to be aggressive. It doesn't really hurt anything at that particular foul. Now, lots of times when you're down by 20, you don't score 21 points in a row. You cut into the lead, then you fall back a little bit, then you cut in a little more, and hopefully each time you cut into it, you can get a little closer. So Seton Hall needs to maintain its focus here on the offensive end.
Kusan is back in for Seton Hall. Gauze, Lang, Whitney, the drive into Wilson.
See, that's a nice job. You move the ball, you make Wilson move around trying to guard Whitney. That is a matchup that really Wichita State was very concerned about. Whitney just such a good athlete on the inside, much quicker than either Wilson or Miller.
O'Geary for three.
Now, another reason Seton Hall's been able to come back is O'Geary, who had 4 threes in the first half. That's his first shot attempt of the second half.
And 15 for the Shockers. Copeland with the drive inside into Miller and picked up by Breyer as he goes flying the other way, and the tap in and a foul. Oh, count the 2 on a goaltend.
Well, Whitney here, this was not goaltending, just a great move to the basket. You've got to give him some, you've got to give Wilson some help when Whitney's driving to the basket. And then somebody hit that ball while it was on the rim, which is why it was a goaltending call. Breyer did a nice job in transition.
Wichita State wants a timeout. 9:13 play in the half. Here's the goaltending call moments ago.
Hit the ball on its way down after coming off the backboard.
Seton Hall has shot much better in the second half, yet 41% for the game. Wichita State still on top there. 9 Shocker threes and plus 10 Wichita State on the glass.
And 12 of those rebounds of the offensive variety for Wichita State. So Wichita State doing a nice job creating extra opportunities and then taking advantage of them.
Bradley is on Copeland. Kusan sets a screen. O'Geary got quickly on Gauze. There's a foul inside on Wichita State. This will go on Wilson.
Wilson again, that's a very tough matchup for Wilson against Kelly Whitney.
Wilson, who is a licensed pilot, as you take a look at the Washington, D.C. region. Whitney and Wilson have gone at it hard here. Nice spin move by Whitney. Kusan comes up with the loose ball, and as he was coming down, he was fouled by Wichita State. So a couple of quick fouls inside.
Well, we've seen some nice maneuvering by Whitney, but watch here. Miller, number 45, goes over to help. Therefore, nobody available to block out Kusan, and as a result, he's going to get the opportunity to go to the free throw line. So that matchup, Whitney against Wilson, particularly in the last few minutes, has really gone in favor of Whitney.
Kusan at the free throw line. The Seton Hall team is coached by Louis Orr. You go back many years, and Jim Boeheim, a young coach at Syracuse, recruited Louis Orr, his first big-time recruit. He led the Big East in scoring a season. They went 118, but he still showed some of that prowess. When he found out a couple days ago that his Pirates were going to the dance, he sprinted down the hall and met some of his teammates head on, and tears were running down faces of both player and coach, and it was a very happy time.
Of course, Louis Orr, part of that Louis and Bowie show at Syracuse. Very entertaining. That's back in what was the first heyday of Big East basketball.
Big East basketball.
You could make the argument now with the 16-team monster Big East that the Big East once again has become a dominant conference in college basketball.
And he's been kind of on the hot seat, has Orr, this season. Their season turned at midterm, but he was really being criticized.
Well, he was being criticized. Then when you coach at a place like Seton Hall that's used to success, and you come off an NCAA tournament season and you go 12-16, and then you lose by 53 points at Duke early in the year, you have to expect some criticism. But his team rebounded very well.
Lang rebounding well there for Seton Hall. Nutter inside to Whitney and fouled on the play by Miller, who picks up his third. Well, the tournament getting underway. We have the 8 Big East teams in the tournament, the most ever for a conference in that very deep Big East. 3 matchups in the first round between the Big East, which we're seeing today, and the Missouri Valley Conference.
That's right. It's going to be Georgetown and Northern Iowa and Southern Illinois against West Virginia. Those are the other two matchups. But the Big East, of course, they have 8 teams in the tournament to set the record. But remember, the Big East expanded. They've got 16 teams from which the committee can choose. And one of those 8 Big East teams in the NCAA tournament is Marquette, that, of course, came over from Conference USA.
Ryan Martin comes in for Paul Miller for Wichita State. Whitney at the line. Whitney, a terrific rebounder, number 6 in rebounding in the Big East Conference season this year. Full court pressure by the Pirates. And they break it. This is Martin.
Gives you some idea of the versatility of Wichita State. Martin, power forward with this lineup, able to handle the ball against the pressure and bring it up the court. It's a very well-balanced Wichita State lineup.
Shockers, as you just saw, have led by 20. Have had a couple ties. No lead changes. Bradley squirms inside with a great penetrating move.
Bradley's one of those guys at 190 pounds and 5'11", very strong, and he showed you the quickness to get to the basket and then the strength to finish the play.
And Whitney again inside. Wilson vacuums in the loose ball for the Shockers. 7.5 to play. At the other end, Martin, great feed. And Wichita State catches Seton Hall, not as aggressive as they've been on defense in this second half.
Well, of course, once you get way behind, your margin for error gets smaller and smaller, and Seton Hall just fell asleep that time. Nice job by Martin running the court.
And O'Geary with the feed. It's another 3. He's had a couple in this second half that have gone in. Nice knock away by Gaines in the deflection.
Boy, nice hustle by Nutter. That ball was getting away from him.
Gaines into Whitney. Fouled on the play by Martin. So Whitney will go to Gaines into Whitney. Fouled on the play by Martin. So Whitney will go to the line, but Wichita State running up their lead to 17. Karen Bradley with a great play and a good move. And Martin at the other end.
Support that the Shockers get, and this was the first regular season Missouri Valley Conference Championship since 1983. They did it on the last day of the regular season with a win over Illinois State. They clinched, and he said it just really felt like he got a gorilla off his back, because it's not that the fans have been overly demanding, but he felt that he had to do something, that his team had to do that for the fans, because they have been so loyal through a number of years where the Wichita State basketball just wasn't up to the standards that it was in the 60s and then again in the 80s.
Well, and he's recruited well. He has a lot of kids on this roster from Houston and Texas, but he says it's become increasingly difficult to recruit in this state with the arrival of Billy Gillespie at Texas A&M, and of course the presence and long shadow cast by Bob Knight at Texas Tech. Kuznard, Wilson, and a foul. But think of the people that have been around Turgeon in his career. He played under Larry Brown, coached as a graduate assistant under Brown, then later Roy Williams, joined Larry back in the NBA with Philadelphia. And now here he is after a couple years as head coach at Jacksonville State at a place. He's back home. He's from Topeka, so he's a Kansas boy.
Well, and one of the interesting things about him, if he coached around Larry Brown and Roy Williams, you know one thing, and that is that he's terribly superstitious. And we asked him.
That is true.
We asked him whether he had talked recently to Larry Brown. He said, "Oh no, I don't want to talk to him with what's going on with him now." He said, "What about Roy Williams?" And he said, "Well, he and Roy, both of their teams got on real good streaks, and Roy didn't want to call him and he didn't want to call Roy because that would jinx it. And when his team lost at the same time North Carolina lost, he figured then it was safe to call Roy Williams because the jinx had been broken."
Here's Lang working into Martin. He picks up a Wichita State foul. 6:03 to play in this first round game. Coming up, other games, Alabama Marquette. We'll have Winthrop, Tennessee, South Alabama, Florida, Montana against Nevada. Earlier, Greg Gumbel updated us on the bomb scare at the Cox Arena in San Diego.
Obviously, that game was supposed to be in the next series of games, but you saw up there on the screen the time to be determined, because those teams are not even at the arena. They are still at the hotel while the law enforcement officials check on that suspicious package.
Wilson leaves and Miller comes back in for the Shockers. Very elaborate security measures, as you might imagine, at all the NCAA sites. They just become a staple now in any professional sporting event in this country. Seton Hall finished 7th in the Big East.
Boy, that is a great job by Couisnard to go secure that basketball. Seton Hall had a tip. They probably should have gotten a steal right there. But what a great job by Couisnard to grab the ball.
Copeland picks up his second foul.
Well, this is a double team, and Bradley's trying to pass out of the double team. The ball is tipped, but Couisnard does a great job going to get it.
Couisnard, number 2, for 2 shots.
Couisnard, a very interesting player. He not only is he the number 3 offensive rebounder, was he the number 3 offensive rebounder in the Missouri Valley Conference, but he also led this Wichita State team in assists.
And he's very good defensively. He's on the Missouri Valley Conference all-defense team. Copeland, Whitney, and Miller plucks it out of the air.
Miller just plays the game very much under control. Nothing seems to bother him.
Bradley diving inside, and
offensive foul.
That is an offensive foul on Bradley.
Lewisura looking for his team to turn that turnover in maybe into a basket. Nutter tries to move in there. That is a very difficult call for an official to make, particularly in a transition situation like that. You have to have your You have to establish an initial guarding position, both your feet on the floor facing the dribbler. In that case, you have to have that established before the guy leaves his feet.
Copeland against Bradley. Dawes with the move inside. Knocked away inside beautifully by Miller. 3-on-2. Nice defense by Copeland. Breaks up the fast break. And Nutter finds Gauze. Across the lane and foul.
Goes out there and gets the job done.
Gauze at the free throw line. He was a very interesting story. Grew up in South Jersey. And he was the top high school basketball scorer. And he was a running back in football. And he was the #1 scorer in football. And so he had to make a decision. Do I play running back in college, or do I play some college basketball? He decided to go for basketball. But they think in the first time in the history of prep sports in that part of the state, it's the first time a guy has led that area in scoring as a basketball player and as a football player in the same season.
You have to have some real talent to do that.
Yes.
Gauze is a guy that out here on the court today, he has made some things happen. He's really done a nice job defensively. They said he had an opportunity to attend James Madison University and play both football and basketball, but elected to play basketball alone.
Bryant, trouble pass to Wilson with a Seton Hall foul. Picks up the foul. Wilson will be at the free throw line. We told you he's a licensed pilot. He has family in the Wichita area. And there's his mom, Jackie. And so he plays at Illinois. Great program, of course, and he's one of the few players on this Wichita State team that brings NCAA experience.
The other one you mentioned before, Karen Bradley, he played at Marquette on the Marquette Final Four team between transferring over here. And we talked to the folks from Wichita State and wanted to know if those guys were helpful in terms of their tournament experience. And of course, the answer to that question was yes, but that's something you have to experience yourself to understand it.
They've had a great experience today. Nutter with the miss. And a foul on Nutter. And O'Geary will go to the line at the other end of the floor.
For his average at 15 points a game, Whitney has scored well. Copeland has scored well. The problem for Seton Hall is nobody else, quite literally, has scored. And after working so hard to get into the NCAA tournament, after being so excited about getting into the NCAA tournament, that's the look that people have when they lose in the tournament. And I don't know that it's any easier if you go out in the second round or the regionals, but anytime you go out in the NCAA tournament, your season's over, and that's a very, very difficult thing for players to deal with.
Well, the thing about Seton Hall is they thought their season was over maybe at midseason. And they had a nice comeback and regained some composure, as we mentioned before. And players like Nutter were very instrumental in that resurgence, and they get in.
Wow, this is a team really, Kevin. You're talking about thought their season was over a couple of times. As Copeland misses that three, they all season long they were harder to kill than Rasputin. But now it looks like maybe they've come to the end of the line.
Dan, Seton Hall has missed 10 consecutive shots.
Well, they had the lead cut to 11. And we said sometimes you expend so much energy getting back in the game when you get behind by 20. It's just hard to get over the top. And then Wichita State, the ball started going in the basket for them.
Shot clock at 5, Kuznov. O'Geary launching another three. Picked up by Lang. Wichita State has gone 9 of 20, shooting three-point balls today. Gaines with the three for Seton Hall. They have struggled 5 of 16 above the arc. Today's Chevy players of the game, Kelly Whitney with 18 and 6 for Seton Hall, and Paul Miller 15 and 7 for Wichita State. Wichita State is +8 in rebounding, +12 points above the arc, and +17 points off the bench over Seton Hall.
And Seton Hall, we've talked about it before. They've gotten 18 points from Kelly Whitney, 15 points from Jamar Nutter before he fouled out, 13 points from Donald Copeland. But the other guys on the team have only scored a grand total of 8 points. So where Wichita State has been very balanced and has gotten tremendous contributions up and down the lineup, Seton Hall has had to rely on 3 guys.
There's Donald Copeland Jr. at the free throw line. His father, Donald Sr., said it has the biggest influence on his life and in his career. The motivating factor. His father played D3 basketball. He coached D3 basketball. And he coached, in fact, Donald Jr. when Donald was just a little guy. He says he's still verbally coaching him right now, but loves his dad and appreciates all the attention he's given him throughout his college career.
And that's a college career that's going to come to an end today, Kevin. But Copeland, a young man, had to endure a lot of criticism at Seton Hall. Only averaged 3.5 points a game through his first 3 years. But this year, taking over that point guard spot, averaging 16 points a game.
Breyer is fouled by Whitney. Hey, you know, Copeland went to St. Anthony's in Jersey City because he admired the players that had been there, like Terry DeHare and Danny Hurley. And he said that was a goal of his. I mean, even just as a little guy to go to St. Anthony's and be a part of some historic, in his term, historic basketball program.
He spent his first 2 years playing behind Andre Barrett, an outstanding college point guard, and then had some struggles last year in and out of the lineup. As we mentioned, coming into this season, his career scoring average was 3.5 points a game, averaged better than 16 points a game this year. Led Seton Hall in assists, actually averaged better than 3 rebounds a game, just had an outstanding season for the Pirates.
Copeland the drive, and Breyer was reaching in. When you look at Breyer, Matt Breyer, number 22 for Wichita State, you see what Mark Turgeon looked like and played like when he was at Kansas. I mean, Mark Turgeon was a 3-time state champion with his basketball team in Topeka. And went to Kansas, and people just were recruiting Mark Turgeon. I mean, they were surprised that Larry Brown would go for a kid like that. Well, Turgeon has carried that with him. He's become this very successful coach. But when he looks at players, he thinks about that story often. And Breyer is a great case in point.
Well, Wichita State was struggling a little bit earlier in the season, and their game really went into another gear when Breyer took over as the point guard. Now, Breyer, he had some injury problems early in the season, a concussion and then mononucleosis, but once he got back at full strength, that's when the Shockers really started to roll.
Copeland again. Copeland with a foul. Slam of the door. Such a suddenness after the practices and the teaching in classroom and the games.
And the interesting contrast about the NCAA tournament, you talked about it earlier, Kevin, how happy the kids from Seton Hall were to be invited into the NCAA tournament, and then an entirely different emotion, obviously, today as they see that NCAA tournament visit end after one game.
Miller checks out. Martin comes in for Wichita State. Miller probably is finished 6 of 10 from the field, 15 points and 7 rebounds, 2 blocks. Nice afternoon. Aguirre and Bryant.
And you see Breyer, he had an opportunity. They had a 3-on-2 break right there, but he just backs it back out. What Wichita State wants to do now is run some time off the clock.
First day of the NCAA tournament.
And Wichita State, of course, will now be able to sit back and await the winner of that Tennessee-Winthrop game. And that game, one that a lot of people are marking in their brackets. And
Son has performed at a high level in his senior season and has been very clutch for Bob Thomason's team.
And interesting enough, this game right now with 4 minutes is turned into a sprint. Who's going to win the sprint? It's not a real long race, but it's going to be fun.
Outside, Dudley. And even 4 minutes to play here in Salt Lake.
And once again, notice Pacific, as much as they possibly can, they're guarding the middle of the floor and the baseline area.
Rice gives it up. Marshall spread the floor.
Smith in there a long time, too. They got to make sure the officials keep him out of there.
And a foul called as Smith got the delivery against White. And that's going to be the 4th foul.
His 4th personal is 17.
We'll step aside. 3:43 left. It's a tight one. And it's Craig Smith to the free throw line, 66% shooter. Big game for him. 20 points, 10 rebounds. He's 2 for 4 from the line today. The 1-and-1. Short. And knocked out of bounds. Last touch by BC.
That's an amazing thing to me, though, Ian, the fact that guys aren't ready to rebound, miss free throws.
Look at the game reset. Boston College clinging to the 2-point lead. Each team with 17 fouls. Foul trouble. Oates has already fouled out for BC. White has 4 for Pacific. Pump fake, Webb. He'll step back for the lead. And it rims out. Moriker in a battle with Smith.
Boy, that was Moriker's rebound if he wanted it, but Smith said, no, not here. That's not going to happen. Boy, was that ever a big-time board by Smith.
Count it down to the 3-minute mark here in the second half. Boston College up by 2. Dudley. Keep it on the perimeter for Rice.
About that 6-minute mark, BC went into kind of almost like a slow-down, methodical offense and haven't been able to get their rhythm back.
Rice, side rim. Esparza stolen by Rice. And the block for Esparza.
Probably not a good decision. A terrific play by Rice to steal it. And Gray's wide open.
No good on the 3. Hit it. Able to save for BC.
Boy, did Gray ever get a terrific look at that long-range shot. He just can't believe, watching his reaction going down the other end of the floor, can't believe that he missed that shot.
Had a chance to give them a 1-point lead.
White continues to have his hands full with Smith down low, just trying to hopefully keep the ball out of his hands.
There's Hennett looking to make a play. Dishing for the 2-handed jam. It's Smith.
The finish by Smith, the start by Hennett. Another great drive through the middle of the floor.
61-57 BC. The 2-handed dunk for Smith, giving the Eagles a 4-point lead with 2:06 remaining. Looked like Boston College was ready to close the door, but Pacific showing its resiliency, battling back, mixing it up from the perimeter and inside with Moriker.
Nice cut down deep.
And White tried to squeeze a pass in. They turn it over.
And that was Hennett again. We talked about him on the offensive end of the floor. A nice slip cut defensively there to make that steal opportunity.
Big possession with 1:42 to go. Eagles up by 4.
Pacific is going to try to make this possession go along the perimeter as much as they possibly can. BC wants it in the hands of Smith on the blocks.
White using his body against Smith. This is Rice. Unable to penetrate. Hennett lets it fly. No good for 3. And Dudley the long rebound. And a new shot clock for Boston College.
Now the instincts tell you to go towards the basket on those long shots, but really you have to turn back as a guard and play perimeter defense first and then look for the long rebound on the kick.
So BC will use more clock. Marshall straight away, off the rim, and Moriker with the board. We're under 1 minute to play.
They have to go quickly but smartly right now. No time to panic, plenty of time on the clock, but they very much need a good look.
Crucial half-court set for Pacific. Here's Moriker, their go-to guy, and he's fouled from three-point territory. Moriker is going to the line for 3 free throws. Now, Bob Thomason told us that Moriker this year has really embraced the idea of being the guy on this team. Averaged 17 points per game, 9 rebounds during the season. 2 out of 2 with 1 more coming for Moriker.
Big fella has a nice looking rhythm right there also. Great follow through and rotation on the ball at the line.
Anthony Brown checks in for Michael White. He can cut it to 1. Moriker, all 3. He drills it.
Boy, that's gutty right there. Great shooting at the line, situational shooting. And I like this change. Try to get them to play a little quicker. Differential's about 10 seconds or so.
And a foul call. Esparza outside against Hinnant. Esparza called for the foul way outside.
Well, and it's situational too. I'm just thinking, Hinnant, I think, was thinking the same thing. Why are you fouling me right now? He'll go to the line, 67%.
A 1-and-1. A second free throw coming for Lewis Hinnant, the senior. He's been unselfish throughout his 4 years at BC, a modest scorer, outstanding defender, and a chance to give his team a 3-point lead with 38.3 remaining. He nails it.
And the first thought process is, hey, I'm down 3 points right now with the ball. I need a 3. Get it down the floor and go right at the basket and attack. Try to get a 2 as quickly as you can.
Esparza with 25 to shoot. 26 seconds on the game clock. Pacific down by 3. Here's Gray, whips it inside. White, the layup goes down.
A terrific cut by White, a better delivery by Gray. And now that's the smart play by Gray. Right up, now you stretch this thing out. 19.8 seconds left. A couple of fractions of a second go off the clock. Well designed defensively just then. Pacific and company are thinking at the defensive end. A good...
On a senior-oriented team, Pacific found the freshman, Tyrese Rice, 76% shooter, 1-and-1, and he nails the first free throw. 2-point lead for the Eagles. 19.8 remaining.
He looked like a seasoned freshman on that one.
A prolific high school scorer, and he knocks down a pair.
You can still look for a quick delivery to the basket. You have plenty of time. You don't want to panic and force a long shot up.
And Gray slips for a moment.
Kept the dribble alive, though. That's legal.
12 seconds left. Moriker for the tie. Got him!
Oh, you don't need it, but it works when you get it. Gray is just delivering the goods. Such a huge play, Ian, that he did not catch the ball as he fell to the floor, just then kept his delivery and dribble alive.
We are all tied up. Final seconds in Salt Lake coming up.
See, on the other hand, very important to remember, the worst thing that should happen to BC right now is an overtime game.
There is no doubt what time of year it is.
And it's fabulous.
Here we go. 7 seconds, Smith across. 5 seconds, Smith a bump. He traveled.
Great job by Gray again. Offensively, Gray doing the work. Defensively, he got in the way. A little help by his teammates to get the big guy, and that's exactly what you don't want if you're BC, a big guy handling the ball. Let's see if Pacific, who doesn't have a timeout here, let's see if they get the ball to a guard to create. One other thing, too, when you catch the ball right now, Ian, you have about 2, maybe 3 dribbles if you're going towards your basket to get a shot off.
3.9 left. Pacific looking for the win. Get it in for Webb. 2 seconds, 1 second. Tight defense from BC.
Great job by Dudley just then to step in. I don't know if he's going to get the call. I like the fact that Dudley was thinking catch and timeout. He may get a fraction put on this clock. but it was a terrific setup defensively by Dudley to step up and make a stance defensively.
And that is the question now, whether there was time left on the clock when Dudley had possession and took the timeout. That's what the officials will look for right now.
Yeah, there are a couple of times, obviously, at the end of the games, this is a no-brainer that they could go. Now, let's see when he gets possession. There's the ball, possession. You know, it's
2/10?
2/10, maybe. And then, by the way, you can't get a shot off. Keep in mind, at 2/10 of a second, the ball comes in, you got to glide the ball or tap the ball towards the basket. Let's see. Now, the ball's going to kick back a little bit. Dudley's number 3 right here. And watch, the ball is going to go back first. Now he calls timeout. And when does the official? He calls it, but when does the official recognize it? I don't know if he's going to get, if he gets 2/10, it's a lot. He's not getting more than 2/10, I don't think.
That's what it's going to be. 2/10 of a second put on the clock. Guide the ball or a tap scenario near the rim. Dudley will toss it in. 2/10 on the clock before overtime. And it throws it up. We are headed to overtime. First game of the day in Salt Lake. A white knuckler. Tied at 65. Winner here will move on to take on the winner of Nevada and Montana, the 5-12 matchup. Christian Moriker, a 3-pointer to tie it. BC had a chance to win it. Smith called on the turnover, then Pacific with a chance to get out of here with a victory, unable to get a shot off.
Yeah, Moriker with a huge, huge shot. And, you know, we have to give him credit also for his free throw shooting. Hit those 3 straight. I mean, down the stretch in gray, just marvelous execution at the offensive end. And most impressive to me was the patience they showed for a team that was kind of like in trouble, clock situation and scoreboard wise.
Boston College has won its last 8 overtime games, including one this season against NC State.
And they try to win it with the way they play normally.
Rice pulls the trigger. Can't hit the 3.
Uh-oh, the men are going after the boards now.
Dudley and Moriker tie up. Pacific takes over with a possession error.
And I think BC might be thinking, why is our freshman taking the first shot rather than getting the ball down to our experienced guys in the blocks? If not the shot, at least look down there and get it to them once. If they have to kick it out, then you shoot it in rhythm.
Well, Rice is now 0 for 6 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3-point range. Here's Brown putting it on the floor. Moriker against Williams. Left hand, no.
Not a good decision there. I know he can make that shot, but I think you have to challenge more. This is, overtime is about challenging people. That's why I didn't like the outside long shot by Rice and a little flip shot by Moriker down that end. You're going to win this, you got to win this inside and drive it to the basket and earn it and get to the line.
Moriker with 30 points and 7 rebounds. His career high is 34. There's Hennett looking. Smith unable to get position down low. 9 to shoot. Hennett gives it up. Dudley on a pump. Didn't want to shoot it.
Yeah.
Rice driving.
I think your point is well taken just then, partner. Who wants to shoot the ball? These guys are supposed to be experienced players. Al Skinner's team a little tentative right there.
3 seconds remain on the shot clock, and BC retains possession. Hennett looking to get it in cleanly. He does outside. Smith, a 3, and it rims out. Dudley pokes it outside.
They got numbers here.
There's Webb running. Pull up on the way. Count it. That's a 3.
Once again, usually not your first choice, but he recognized quickly, Webb did, that it was Craig Smith, the big guy. And as a small guy's mindset is coming down the floor, it's either, hey, I'm going to go by you, but if you don't come out and recognize me, I'm quick enough, even though I'm smaller, to get my shot off from long range.
Webb has really picked up his scoring over the last month. Was it a 3-pointer?
Good question. And this is what the officials will go look at. They will go look and see that that right foot, to my eye, was on the line. Let's take a look at the low angle. Sometimes it's difficult to see it. Oh, wow. The first one looked like he came to the line. The second one looked like he didn't. That's why we're sitting over here and fans voicing their opinion.
Take another look.
I'm getting old, Ian. Help me with the eyes.
Now,
Well, doesn't that?
That's tight, but I can't say definitively.
Yeah, right.
You've got shadows, you've got the toe.
And this angle here, albeit it's a great look from a camera perspective, the low angle to me makes it even more difficult to see where the line and the toe are.
Now that's what the officials are dealing with right now on the other side.
Not that it's really that important.
Nah. Mike Webb nailing one from what we believe is long range.
That is safe to say. It's long, it's close. I'm not so sure that's conclusive either.
Well,
it's great 3 shots, but boy, the difficulty.
I got it as a 3, Jimmy.
Okay.
That's what I would go with.
On that first one, my first reaction was that right foot slid close to the line. If I'm keeping consistent, I would go that was a 2, but boy, you know, just a quick sidebar too. You know, people in sports, they look at the officiating, they comment, because somebody's not going to like this call.
Nope.
But these officials in sports now are playing, these games are being played so quickly, and it's only a matter of inches that make the difference of these calls, that it's amazing how quickly they can come to an agreement, but how often they do get the calls right.
Jimmy, on another topic, what does this stoppage do for these players? You've just been battling for 40 minutes. You finally get into overtime, everything on the line, and now we've got a 3.5 minute stoppage right now.
I think 2 things come into play right there. Number one, as we take another look at it there, hard for me to really be definitive as to whether it's on the line or not. Number 2, I think the fact of, regardless of whether it's a 2 or 3, Pacific is now waiting this thing out with a little bit of lead, so mentally it's going to help them. If they get the extra point, it'll give them a real big lift, and it is a 3. So they get a bigger lift out of this. They get a little bit more momentum, and the slowdown for BC works on them a little mentally on a negative sense.
Mike Sanzare just put his arms in the air, indicating a 3-pointer. Pacific 68-65 lead. We come up on 3 minutes to go in OT. Brought back memories of Patrick Sparks, Kentucky.
That was a great game, too.
And that one counted for 3. Rice.
Well, you see the big fake right there. Nice decision, but not a good one there. Oh.
Dudley trying to get it back.
Sparser again.
Tip ball. Webb, another. He's got it.
Oh, baby, what an action play by Esparza down one end to keep a mistake alive, and Webb is just out of sight shooting the basketball from long range.
71-65 Pacific. Back-to-back trays, Mike Webb. And this building has responded. The Eagles last year, a second-round loss to Wisconsin-Milwaukee, a number 12 seed. This year facing a 13 seed. BC was not happy with their placement, a number 4 seed here in Utah.
And if you're an experienced BC team, what do? You come out and go to your strengths, and that's exactly what they just did to Smith. Al Skinner's team should be through these battles. We've seen the fact that they've won in overtime games, so it's nothing new to them. Now's the time to test some adversity, but go to your strength.
The senior at the line. Free throw shooting has been a problem. 66% this season. They need them both. Short. He is now 2 of 6 from the line. 22 points, 11 rebounds for Smith. One of the best players in Boston College basketball history.
They need one right here just to get a little positive thought process going.
And he hits.
It allows them to come up a little bit more full court right now.
It's a 5-point game. Pressure. Gray needs help.
They got to hurry right now. Nice job by Hinnant again. He stepped out of bounds, I believe, before the timeout.
He did.
Yep.
Out along the sideline, and Pacific turns it over. The pressure pays off for BC.
Hinnant, second play right there, stepping across, forced that out of bounds Watch the step across, and now Webb's looking for a timeout, but he doesn't realize that his left foot slides against the out of bounds on the sideline.
Huge turnover with 2:17 to go in overtime.
Plenty of time for Boston College, though, to execute, but they have to get into a little quicker rhythm.
Hannett takes matters into his own hands with a three.
Add it back in, now the shift. Now they have the defensively, and keep an eye on Williams, 51. He's long, he's quick, he's forcing lateral passes in the backcourt.
BC's first field goal since the 2:11 mark of regulation. Under 2 minutes to go in overtime. Pacific up by 2. Here's Gray on the drive. Floater. No good. Williams couldn't grab it. Out of bounds, and Pacific will hold on to it.
A tough shot along the baseline. Maybe not a great shot either in terms of where you are situationally in this game.
1:43 remaining. Pacific up by 2. Esparza. Way outside, deflected. Rice couldn't grab it.
Now we've seen Pacific play well when it was a little scattered with Webb jump shots, getting it going a little quicker. Now in the half-court sets, they have to be patient, but really have to attack and try to make something happen. You see outside right there, Gray like saying, come on, guys, get into something. 15 on the shot clock.
Here's Gray. Down to 1:18 left in overtime. 10 to shoot. Watched by Hannett.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if he lets him go right by him again.
Gray lets it fly. Count it! A three!
If you remember in the first half, the end of the first half, it was the same type of play. Hannett allowed him to go by him, and he ended up with a foul. He didn't want to let him go by him. Great decision by Gray to pull up.
Back to a 5-point lead for the Tigers. Under a minute to go. Dudley answers with a tray.
These guys are stepping up here early on.
74-72 Pacific. 47 seconds left in overtime. Esparza handles the pressure.
A 16-second differential, so BC has the luxury right now, playing with a sense of urgency defensively, but do not need the foul. And right now, I'm not a big fan of weighting this thing down to 7 seconds or so, and that looks like what they're going to do.
Esparza holds, 9 to shoot. Pacific up by 2. Esparza makes his move. Outside White, short. 18 seconds left. BC with a chance to tie or take the lead.
Freshman running the point. Al Skinner wants to talk things over. Good call by Al Skinner to talk things over. Down 2 with 12 and change left.
What a battle this has been. 2-point game in Salt Lake. Here we go. 1 possession game. 12 seconds left in overtime. BC trails by 2. Hannett, 6 seconds left. Smith gets it. Smith turns. Smith. Foul call with 4.3 remaining.
You know, it's interesting to me, not a bad foul because his free throw shooting hasn't been great. So you know what, the thought process, okay, if they're going to earn it, let them get to the line with Craig Smith, who has been struggling from the line.
He is 3 of 7 from the stripe here today. Biggest free throws of his 4-year career. Down by a deuce. Smith on target.
Now I know it's a simple thing, but everybody on the line, Bob Thomason's yelling down to his team, lock out. You heard it in the CYO leagues when you were 5th grade, 6th grade. Get the rebound.
BC trails by 1 for the tie. Smith. He drains it.
Boy, is that ever clutch for a senior to step up.
3 seconds left. Gray with a chance to win it underneath. Time expires.
Oh, how did White ever get open down there?
We are going to a second overtime in Salt Lake.
I think he came from the bleachers.
74-74. Double overtime. First round action.
But you know what? Craig Smith at the free throw line with his career, he has to make those 2 shots. If you're a basketball fan in general, you don't want to see a career end with a guy missing 1 out of 2 and costing his team a game. And guess what? It's overtime again.
BC controls it. Rice up top. Look out. On the alley-oop feed to Sean Williams. Where did that come from?
Al Skinner is where that came from. Nice call from the coaching staff. If we get the ball, let's go right to the tin with it. Nice finish.
BC leads by 2. Gray defended by Rice. There's Moriker. He has poured in 30. Long 3. And it's rebounded by Smith.
That's a shot he can hit, and not a bad shot with your first possession because it was a clean look.
76-74 Eagles. Just about a minute gone by in overtime. Hinnant for Rice. Working the perimeter. The cut. Dudley. And tipped home. Was it on the cylinder? It was.
It looked like it was. Looked like Williams, who's very active, both defensively and the offensive glass, doesn't like the call. Now, keep in mind, though, there's an imaginary cylinder that goes above the rim. So if the ball is even above the rim and it's on that imaginary cylinder, the basket still will not count.
So basket is waved off. BC's lead is 2. Gray is going to take the 3. And rebounded by Webb.
Good kick out by Webb also.
Moriker, open look. Short. And a timeout taken as Hinnant was able to control it along the baseline. BC's got the 2-point lead and the ball with 3:38 remaining in double overtime. Extended minutes for Tyrese Rice, the freshman. They break the trap and now settle into a half-court set. Hinnant. Dudley. 16 to shoot. Spread it around. Rice, that's a 3. He hits.
Hey, a little cautious in that first overtime, but now all of a sudden stepping up. The confidence there. Craig Smith was open too on the blocks. He could have given that basketball up.
First field goal of the day for the freshman from Richmond, Virginia. Boston College leads at 79-74. We approach 3 minutes to go in the second overtime.
That just highlights what Al Skinner said about Rice in terms of the confidence. There
And
he
a
is.
steal. Here's Rice dishing. Hinnant extra feed. Oh, big finish for Williams.
And a lot of time left, but that one may be a finisher for Pacific. We'll see how they rebound right now, coming down the floor. A huge possession for them to get a good look.
Down to 2:49 remaining in double OT. And another steal. It is falling apart for Pacific.
They can pull this one out. Nice decision right there with the lead. Play the clock a little bit right now. Don't go into a stall, but play it smart. Nice little run over the last 5 minutes for BC.
2.5 to go. Rice calls out a play. There's Smith, hit the 2 clutch free throws to ensure a second overtime for Boston College. Doesn't take the shot, 6 to shoot. Shot clock winding down. Now Smith, little bump, spin, no good. Moriker clears it.
We got to look for something quick here once again. Not a panic shot.
Still plenty of time. 2 minutes to go in double overtime. Webb's had the hot hand. And the rebound to Williams of BC.
Williams goes up a little higher than most people, doesn't he?
At 6'10", and he's got the hops.
He's got some springs.
And a foul called on Gray. The throw line, double bonus. And Rice makes the free throw. Second one coming. BC 82, Pacific 74. Both teams had chances to put an end to this one and avoid overtime or a double overtime. Neither team could cash in. And 2 out of 2 for little Tyrese Rice.
And I like the fact that Al Skinner stays with the 1-2-2 because it's enough to not allow Pacific to get into any kind of rhythm.
Webb's 3, no. Comes up with a rebound and doesn't get the roll. Tip-in goes for White. 83-76, down to a minute 24 left. Double overtime.
That's the help.
Esparza, double. Rice works through it, and Dudley will back it out.
Good decision so far by BC, recognizing that you know Pacific is going to come at you with the double teams. You're going to put the pressure on you, and Rice running the show pretty nicely.
13 to shoot.
More important to take the clock down than it is to get a good shot on this one possession.
Under a minute to go now in double overtime. Dudley pump fake, fading away. Count it! And that's a dagger. Foul called, and Dudley's going to the free throw line. Boston College can taste it.
And the beauty of this is if you're Al Skinner is that you've had a bunch of guys chipping in down the stretch into the first and now into the second overtime. So collectively, BC really showing some stamina and guts.
Esparza has fouled out. Stephon Johnson, the freshman, comes in. 10 rebounds for Esparza to go along with those 3 points. And emotional as he leaves the floor.
Jared Dudley at the line for Boston College. Shooting 1.
Dudley can bring the BC lead to 10 with 53.9 left on the clock. It's good. And Dudley, big numbers for him. 23 points, 5 assists. Final 45 seconds. Gray to the rim. Rejected by Williams.
You do not, emphasize not, bring it in there weakly against Williams with the way he can block shots.
And that's your exclamation point here in the second overtime. Foul called with 29.3. Christian Moriker, 30 points for Pacific. Craig Smith, 25 points, 13 rebounds, and a couple of big free throws in recognition of their determination and outstanding play. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. America's brand supports America's best. Chevy, an American revolution. Rice to the free throw line. Just keeps making plays for BC. And for Craig Smith, the career was not going to end on this day. Pressure free throws.
And it's a nice combination. You have a freshman who's very confident, and at the same time you have experienced guys around him so they can temper the flow of the game with him and try to keep him under control, but at the same time let him use his abilities.
Long jump shot doesn't go for Webb. Hinnan's got the loose ball the last 20 seconds. They have outscored Pacific 14-2 here in the second overtime.
A terrific effort by Pacific. We don't get to talk about them another game, but this was some effort that they put on the floor this afternoon.
Boston College survives, but were they ever tested? It took 2 overtimes. BC wins it 88-76 over Pacific. So the Eagles move on to the second round. They'll wait the winner of the Nevada-Montana game coming up here in Salt Lake. For Jim Spanarkel, this is Ian Eagle. So long from the Huntsman Center. BC a winner in double OT. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports on our 25th road to the Final Four. Greg Gumbel coming up after this.
To the wire in last year's first round game of the NCAA tournament and beat Marquette at Marquette this season. So this is a solid Winthrop club.
This is Bradshaw from New Zealand. Martin is the leading scorer. Oh, he traveled, and you could see it. Winthrop is a school of 6,600 students in Rock Hill, South Carolina, which is about a 30-minute drive outside of Charlotte, North Carolina.
A very beautiful campus. It's a campus included in the National Register of Historic Places. Greg Marshall, the head coach, but that is a very pretty campus. You drive onto the campus through nice neighborhoods, big trees, and Greg Marshall's worried about the big trees for Tennessee today.
Good point. Dean Bradshaw to C.J. Watson. Now Andre Patterson, the UCLA transfer, across the lane and into Bradshaw for 2.
And obviously, what the Tennessee strategy that we've seen early, first going inside to Wingate and now to Patterson, they're really looking to attack Bradshaw.
Here's Terrell Martin, and Dane Bradshaw for Tennessee gets back defensively. Schuler. And the New Zealand Olympic player, Bradshaw. This is Craig Bradshaw. You have Dane Bradshaw, who plays for Tennessee. Flying the other way is Cliff Watson, the first-team All-Southeastern Conference selection.
And you cannot be slow getting back on defense when you're playing Tennessee. They will take the ball out of the basket after you score and come right back at you.
And that really played into their hands in the Southeastern Conference regular season. That's knocked away by Smith and out of bounds, and the shot clock at 24.
One of the big problems that Tennessee was anticipating is the center who shoots the three as well as Craig Bradshaw. Bradshaw's made, that's his 32nd three-point basket that he's made this year, shoots 38% from out there. He can be a very, very difficult matchup.
Top scorer Terrell Martin has checked out. Michael Jenkins has come in for Winthrop. And he's got the ball right now. Wide open three by Williams.
And Williams is another one of the big guys who can shoot threes. Not a very high percentage, only 25% on the year, but if you leave him that wide open, he can hurt you from out there.
Winthrop has their biggest lead. Williams has put in 6. Winthrop has knocked in a couple three-point shots so far. Here is Smith for 3. Good. That's Tennessee's first 3, and Tennessee, of course, was the #1 team in the Southeastern Conference in shooting three-point shots. They set a school record for threes this year. Chris Gaynor puts in a 3 as we trade triples from one side of the floor to the other. As a new player is in now, Jordan Howe is a sophomore from Auburn, Alabama for Tennessee.
Well, the game has assumed an up and down pace that you would think in the long run might favor Tennessee. But Chris Gaynor once again showing you he's not afraid to shoot the ball.
Here's Lofton from Maysville, Kentucky. And Dane Bradshaw working on Williams. Hall's shot clock is down to 2. He's got to throw it up, and he does, and slammed in by Patterson.
That was great penetration by Howell. Bradshaw had to come and help out. Patterson is the guy Bradshaw was guarding. Nobody blocked him out.
Patterson has hit 3 consecutive baskets. He has a game-high 8 for the Volunteers.
Boy, Howell goes to the basket. Here comes Bradshaw, and then Bradshaw is guarding Patterson. Nobody blocks out. Patterson dunks it home.
A lot of people talking about this 15-2 matchup here in Greensboro this afternoon.
The 2-15 matchup that just about everybody in the country looking at their brackets has been talking about, Kevin. Winthrop, a very solid basketball team. We've talked about their credentials, winning at Marquette, being in position to win at Alabama, playing Memphis very, very well. And this game so far has lived up to its billing, a very entertaining offensive event.
Jenkins. Otis Daniels, new player in. A lot of you will be going to that Montana-Nevada game coming up. Daniels, shot clock is down to 7. They've got to reload their offense, and here is Gaynor. Good screen by Daniels. Back away right there by Chris Lofton of Tennessee, who picks up the Volunteer foul.
And this is just a situation with the shot clock running down. If you're Tennessee, you don't need the steal there. You defend the dribble, make him kick the ball away. They're not going to have enough time to get a shot off, and that's what Bruce Pearl's telling him. Hey, there's 2 seconds left on the shot clock.
Both teams are shooting over 50% to begin this game.
Winthrop has actually made their last 4 shots.
Jenkins ran some room to fire. That shot was rejected inside. Daniels took it, knocked away. Patterson the other way, and the quick hands of Michael Jenkins knocks the ball out of bounds. Tennessee coming out of the Southeastern Conference at 21-7.
And Tennessee, a fabulous year for the Vols. They were picked to finish 5th in the preseason in the SEC East, and instead Bruce Pearl's guys won the regular season championship in the SEC. He's got that up-tempo style, gets everybody's motor going, has really built interest with his marketing skills, and there, no marketing skills there. That's just quickness off the dribble by Lofton, draws the foul.
Jenkins picks it up for Winthrop. Well, how do you assess the season? The incredible start, the top 10 ranking at one time, but as the season wound down, as we talked about before, they lost 4 of their last 6 games.
And I think one of the reasons is that Tennessee decided early on that they were going to play that up-tempo style, and they're not really as deep as Bruce Pearl would like them to be, and I think maybe that they might be a little leg weary going down to the end.
Lofton missed it. Looked like Wingate tapped it back in. Major Wingate, who leads Tennessee in field goal percentage.
Winthrop thus far has done a nice job handling the Tennessee pressure, but it's not enough to just beat it across half court. I think that to beat the Volunteers, you've got to make them pay for pressing you by getting baskets.
Bradshaw loses it inside. Here comes Lofton. Wingate, and down it goes. Six 0 run for the Volunteers of Tennessee. They lead by 3. They've trailed by 3. This is Bradshaw over Wingate.
Boy, that was a tough look, trying to shoot that ball off the dribble. Nice job by Wingate to make Bradshaw dribble the ball before he shot it.
Lofton works on Jenkins. And then outside to C.J. Watson with the rebound hauled down by James Schuler, who is a 2-time first-team All-Big South performer for Winthrop. With the ball right now. Long-range 3, Gainer will miss. And there is a Winthrop foul.
And one of the things, this is what we're talking about. There the ball is thrown inbounds, but you notice the Volunteers are allowed to get back. Gainer pulls the ball out, so Tennessee got the advantage of pressing and not having to pay for it. On the other end, when they steal the ball, they take out and go running, and Wingate gets the dunk, and that's Tennessee basketball right there. You get the steal, and you get the ball down the court quickly into excellent scoring position.
Wingate looking inside, and Stanley Asumnu was down there. And
well, that's one of the reasons why you'd rather have Wingate dunking the ball instead of trying to handle it in the middle and make the pass.
DeAndre Adams will check in for the first time. He is a 5'8" freshman. Well marked, picked up by Watson. Here is the freshman with it. Good back up to Gainer. Adams. Williams to Martin. Trammell. Second Trammell on Winthrop in this first half.
Tennessee has done a nice job limiting what Winthrop wants to do on offense. They're putting a lot of pressure out on the perimeter, and yet they are not giving Winthrop anything in terms of penetration to the basket. Now, Winthrop with some pressure.
Andre Patterson will check out with his 8 points and 5 rebounds. Lofton for 3.